them, but I'm alive and baby, I'm thriving. Oh yeah, I'm living my best life. I wake up with the sunrise. Does not look a thing like I thought that it would, but I've been getting my steps in, and I sleep with my best friend. It's the best that it has been, long time. I'm living my best life. Yeah, yeah, living my best life. Sometimes it sucks to tell the truth. I took it hard like people do, but I'm learning how to eat the fruit that is in season. Never thought I'd be a full-grown man, but you know what they say, of best laid plans. Now I'm holding on to my daughter's hand. I've got a reason to be alive, and baby, I'm thriving. Yeah, yeah, I'm living my best life. I wake up with the sunrise. Does not look a thing like I thought that it would, but I've been getting my steps in, and I sleep with my best friend. It's the best that it has been, a long time. I'm living my best life, yeah, yeah, living my best life. Come on.
Living my best life, the best that I can. No more worry or stress life, 'cause I'm done with them. I'm as light as can be,
I'm as fresh as a breeze.
right where I wanna be.
So if you need to find me, I'll be living my best life, waking up with a sunrise, looking at things like what the actual hell. But I've been counting my blessings, and I sleep with my best friend. It's the best that it has been for a long time. It's the best that it has been for a long time. I'm living my best life. Yeah, yeah, I'm living my best life. I've been living my best life.
Hey, that's what we're talking about as we kick off 2026, what it really means to live your best life. Because if we're honest, that's where we're all chasing. Today, we're continuing a conversation about real happiness, not the kind that fades when life gets hard, but the kind that leads to deeper peace, purpose, and lasting joy. And we believe that God actually wants that for you too. So if any of that resonates, hey, you're in the right place. Hey, I'm Vince, and with all the options you have for church today, we're really glad you chose to be with us. Before we go any further, we'd love to take a quick moment to connect with you. One of the easiest ways to do that is through our digital connection card. You can tell us a little bit about yourself, let us know if there's a next step you're interested in taking, or share anything you'd like to as far as the prayer is concerned. And if today's your first time with us, be sure to let us know that. We'd love to send you a small gift in the mail this week as a way of saying thank you. All right, if you've been looking for the perfect weekend to invite someone, hey, this is it. It's coming, people. One of the biggest weekends of the year around here, the Cross Point Game Day Teach-Off is almost here, and it's going to be a blast. It's high energy, it's great teaching, fantastic halftime show, plus a whole lot of fun. And here's where we'd love your help. If you live near our physical campus, let's make it a party. Invite friends, families, neighbors to join you for a tailgate in our parking lot before one of our game day weekend services. Pick a spot, bring your people, bring everything that you need. Then head inside for one of the 3 weekend services and keep the celebration going. And who knows, someone might come to the fun and discover something deeper, a moment that could change more than just their weekend. Can't make it to the campus? Hey, bring Crosspoint to you. Host a watch party, invite some friends, and join us online. It's one of our biggest weekends of the year. And just when you think the party's over, it's actually just getting started. On Thursday, February 5th, join us for the Super Bowl after party right after the early weekend service, complete with stadium snacks, beverages for kids and adults, another great reason to invite some friends. All right, while we're talking about ways to connect, invite friends, and have some fun this winter, here's another great opportunity. Crosspoint Sports Pickleball Open Play kicks off this Sunday, and there's still time to join. Sunday afternoon, starting today, January 25th, we're bringing the fun, the community, and yes, a little friendly competition. All ages and all skill levels are welcome. Whether you're brand new or a little curious or you're already obsessed, we'd love to have you. So there's still time to join. Let us know you're in, and we'll send you everything you need to know. And if winter's been feeling a little long, this is for you. On February 22nd, we're turning up the fun with a silent disco party. And it's open to everyone. Bring your friends, your family, your neighbors, anyone. Come ready to dance, laugh, and make some great memories together. We'll provide everything you need. Just show up, get ready for perhaps the most fun you'll have all winter. There are 2 sessions to choose from. One is 3 to 4 o'clock p.m. and the other is 4:30 to 5:30. So pick whatever works best for you. All right, we've got an amazing service today. It's easy to make life all about ourselves, but today, Abbie's going to help us look at why life is much better when it's lived for a greater purpose. Before we hear what she has to say, here's a little something to get us headed that way with comedian Josh Johnson.
So fun. Hey, friendly reminder, we're coming up on that 5th Monday. And if you find yourself resonating with some of that, feeling some of this like, oh no, a year is a long time, then you are in the right place today. I'm so excited that you are here in the room or tuning in with us online. Can we make some noise to show some love to those who are joining us, Crosspoint Online? We see you on the other side of the screen. And hey, over the last couple of weeks, we've been in this series that we're continuing today about happiness, about what does it really look like and how do we get there? Not in a do everything better, find the right resolutions to fix our lives right away kind of way, but in a deeper, lasting way. And I hope that what you've found, if you've been tracking with us through this series, what I found to be true is that what we've been talking about really provides a helpful antidote to some of that energy that is just all around us and that conversation that we're hearing with this New Year's resolution energy. So that's where we're headed today. I'm so excited. My name's Abbie, by the way. If we've not met, super thrilled that you have decided to join us for Crosspoint this weekend. And we're going to get ready to dive right into it. But first, I'd love to take a minute. Let's pray. God, thank you that you are here in the room, in whatever room we find ourselves today. And God, I believe that you have something for each one of us. And so would you help us to be open to the things that you might want to show us, to the ways that you might be inviting us to step into deeper purpose, deeper joy. May we hear what you would have us to hear today. Amen. All right, so today we are going to be exploring one of the most counterintuitive ideas when it comes to happiness. In fact, this idea is so counterintuitive that if you have not experienced this before, you might not believe what I am about to tell you. It will seem so illogical that maybe you'll be sitting here thinking to yourself like, wow, she's not used to being up 2 weeks in a row. Like maybe she just ran out of things to talk about, or maybe somebody told her that she needed to say that. But for some of us who have experienced what we're going to talk about today, I think we'll re-emphasize some of what we have discovered as it relates to our own happiness. So here's the big idea. You can't fulfill you. You need more than you have to offer. And this is so counterintuitive because we just think naturally, we all think these kinds of things all the time. Like, if I could just afford that, if I could live that way, if I could have that, if I could look like that, I bet that I would be happy. I'd be living my best life, or my life would be bussin'. Pretty sure I didn't use that right, but teenagers, you can correct me later, but you get the idea. The truth is, you cannot acquire or consume or exercise your way to happiness. It's impossible. And yet my tendency and your tendency, all of us, we look around at a bunch of different people around us and we create what we might call a composite person. And this is how a composite person works. We think, all right, if I could just have their house, and if I could just have his car, and if I could look like her, if I could have that person's income and that couple's kids, and if I could have that person's kids' education, and if I could live in that city, you look at about a dozen different people, and you pick and choose from the highlight reels of their lives, and you put them all together. You kind of glue them together like a kid's project, and all of a sudden, you're comparing your life to this thing that you've constructed, and you start to feel discontent with the life that you're living. Now, if you really think about it, there's probably not a person that if you could, you would push a button and suddenly be them. Like sometimes I think like it'd be really cool to be Simone Biles and be such a boss, but then I'd have to be shorter than I already am, and we're not doing that. Whenever we like really think about the wholeness of another person, we probably don't want to trade completely with them. You probably wouldn't want to push a button and suddenly have their parents be your parents, or push a button and lose your kids and have to take on their kids. When all things are considered, there likely is no one that you would want to trade places with completely and give up everything that's true about you. But there are tons of people that we would like to pick and choose from their life, right? We all do this. We think, I wish I had that. I wish I looked like that. I wish I could fit into those. And we create this composite person. And we compare our worst moments to this manufactured person that doesn't even exist. And then what happens is, without meaning to, we find ourselves getting a little bit too focused on becoming something that we're not. And I'm all about self-improvement. I'm all about exercise and discipline. But when you become consumed with you, no matter how much progress you make, no matter how successful you are at it, you will become or continue to be unhappy. Because do you know what you call a composite person? You call it Frankenstein. That's what Frankenstein is. See, a composite person is a monster. At the end of the day, even if you are successful at becoming this composite person that you think you want to be, you still aren't going to end up with the happiness that you think that you're grasping for. Because the truth is, you cannot acquire, you cannot consume, you cannot exercise your way to happiness. But here's the thing that you might have a hard time believing. Honestly, if I just think about it at face value, I have a hard time believing. You may not be able to acquire or consume or exercise your way to happiness, but you might just be able to serve and volunteer your way there. Now, before you get up and leave, before you switch to a different podcast and just lay on me some sort of agenda that I promise you I don't have today, I want you to stay with me for a minute. Think about it, because this really is an amazing thought. And some of you know this because you've experienced it. You've lived this. If you don't believe me, you can check it out when you get home. And what you'll find is there is research after research after research all over the world from lots of different cultures, all asking questions like this. Is there a connection between happiness and selflessness? Could there be a connection between health and selflessness and volunteering? And what you'll discover is that so many projects have come to the same conclusion, that there is a connection, and it's not covert, it's overt, between people's happiness and health, between their willingness to be selfless and their satisfaction with their lives. For example, the University of Chicago did a study where they asked the question, what are the most fulfilling jobs or careers? And what they came up with, their list in order of the reported levels of happiness, is first, jobs where you care for others. Second on the list was jobs where you teach others, and there's lots of iterations of that. Next, jobs where you protect others. And then the fourth one on this list was creative pursuits, which may seem a little left field, but when you think about it, like most artists I know, they do what they do because they want to help people find meaning or connection. And so it makes sense that this would be here on this list. These are the top. These are the most happy, satisfying jobs, according to the research that they did. And they discovered in this that there was no income associated with job satisfaction or happiness once you reached a certain threshold. Like once you could essentially pay the bills, eat, live indoors, that more income was not correlated with more happiness. Another project in the UK, they took actually 40 different studies and who all asked some version of the question, is there a connection between happiness and selflessness? Is there a connection between happiness, health, and serving other people? And when they looked at these 40 studies that had been done over a 20-year span, here's the link that they found. If you volunteer, and these studies weren't people who were like, oh, I volunteered one time back in the day. These were people who had a lifestyle of carving out time to volunteer somewhere in their community, somewhere in their church, somewhere in their lives. And here's what they discovered over those 20 years of study. That people who lived this way reported less depression, less heart disease, less stress. For teenagers who systematically volunteered somewhere, there was far less drug abuse and less unplanned pregnancies. And this part's parenting gold. This is crazy. They said, even if you have to force your teenager to volunteer, force them to volunteer. Because volunteering with a bad attitude still has positive results. They found that teenagers who volunteer, whether they really want to or not, ultimately often end up becoming adults who volunteer and experience all of these benefits. See, across the board, people who volunteer, who have this regular rhythm, who find some way in the course of their life to be selfless, have greater psychological well-being. They're healthier mentally. They're healthier physically. They have higher self-esteem. They live longer and have a better quality of life. I mean, what a list. Like, who doesn't want these things, right? One more that's crazy. Clinical research shows that volunteering and mentoring actually pumps up your immune system. It increases your ability to fight disease. It's wild. Research all over the world, asking different questions with different sets of people, all come to the same conclusion. That one of the best things you can do for yourself is to not focus so much on yourself. That selflessness leads us to happiness. Now, many of you know this. You've gotten up early to do things on a weekly basis, here or elsewhere in the community. You get up early on Sunday morning, or you give a night, you give your time away, you give parts of your life away, and then you come home feeling tired and yet feeling full. And have you ever stopped to ask yourself in those moments, how can that even be? How is it that I give myself up for someone else and I end up liking myself better? How can emptying myself actually fill me up? Why am I happier when I'm doing something for someone else rather than doing something for me? It doesn't make any sense. And that's why most people don't experience this. They don't try it. They don't live this way because it doesn't math in our heads. Yet as strange as it sounds, one of the best things that you can do for you is quit doing so much for you. And one of the best things that you can do for your family is to go out and do something for someone else's family. One of the best ways to get filled up is actually to pour yourself out. How can this be? The answer, I think, comes in two little words: divine design. This is how you were created to be. See, you were created by God to live with open hands, to embrace all those New Testament one another's, love one another, care for one another, serve one another, forgive one another, be there for one another, carry each other's burdens. This is the kind of life you were made for. Now, here's the thing. Selfishness, like the opposite of selflessness, nobody has to teach us that, right? Any of us who have kids know that this is just something we pick up right away on our own. We're born selfish. This comes naturally, but that doesn't mean it's part of your design. See, selfishness is actually a result of brokenness, and it separates us into our own self-centered worlds. Paul, a New Testament author that we talk about a lot around here, he comments on this in one of the letters that he wrote to the Christians in a place called Galatia. He makes an observation about the contrast between two different approaches to living. And he points to this idea that, again, is not intuitive. But if you live long enough, you will begin to realize how true it is. Here's what he says. He says it's obvious what kind of life develops out of trying to get your own way all of the time. He's saying if you just do whatever you want to do, if you were able to get by with anything and there wouldn't be consequences, your wife wouldn't find out, your husband wouldn't find out, your kids wouldn't find out, none of it would ever come back to haunt you. If you were just to go along with your natural impulses and do what you want to do when you want to do it and never run out of money, Paul says, here are some of the things that are going to pop up in your life. He's like, I probably don't even need to list them, but of course, he's like, I'll list them anyways. He says, it's obvious what kind of life develops out of trying to get your own way. Repetitive, loveless, cheap sex. A stinking accumulation of mental and emotional garbage. Frenzied and joyless grabs for happiness. That's what we're trying to avoid in this series, right? Trinket gods, magic show religion, paranoid loneliness. Cutthroat competition, all-consuming yet never satisfied once, a brutal temper, an impotence to love or be loved, divided homes and divided lives, small-minded and lopsided pursuits, the vicious habit of depersonalizing everyone into a rival, uncontrolled and uncontrollable addictions, ugly parodies of community, a fake version of the thing that you're really longing for. I could go on and on. He says, if you're just going to pick up your feet and go with the flow of your natural inclinations, this is what it looks like. And there's a lot of words in this list, but they all boil down to this. This is pleasure at someone else's expense. See, when you give in to selfishness, it is pleasure at someone else's expense. Someone always pays, even if you don't get caught, even if it doesn't come out, even when no one holds you accountable. The truth is somebody suffers. Because all of these things are associated with appetites. And the thing about appetites is that they're never fully or finally satisfied. Because what happens when you feed an appetite? It grows. Paul says, when you give in to whatever you want, as hard as you might try to fill yourself up, it will leave you wanting more. Because you're feeding an appetite that is never going to be satisfied, whether it's an appetite for sex or stuff or recognition or getting the credit that you're due. Whatever it is, it will keep growing. But then Paul contrasts this list with another one. He says, on the other hand, the fruit of the Spirit. Now, this is a phrase like maybe once upon a time you heard in summer camp, but here's what this means. The fruit of the Spirit is the stuff that manifests in your life when you start to live open-handedly, when you begin to relax enough to say, God, I'm ready to get honest. I'm tired of living for myself. I'm tired of chasing happiness and trying to fill myself up and striving and striving and striving and yet ending up in this place where I'm less happy than I was before. And so, God, I want to be about you. I want to be about your way. When we find ourselves in that posture, Paul says this is the result. The fruit of the Spirit that begins to show up in our lives are things like love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, goodness, faithfulness, gentleness. I struggle with that one. And self-control. And then he goes on and he says, look at this list. Against such things, no one's making a law. There is no such law against these. Paul's saying, look at this. This is the environment in which you flourish. Imagine what it would look like to be in a family. Imagine your current family characterized by these things. My family's New Year's resolution collectively was to be less spicy. And I mean, my husband and I are on board with it. The kids are like tiny bit on board with it. But as I look at this list, I'm like, ooh, maybe we should switch that to like the positive instead of the negative of what would it look like for us to make it a goal this year, to be characterized by these things. Paul says, imagine a community where there's almost no need for any law because I have your best interest in mind and you have my best interest in mind. Can you imagine how much happier you would be? How much happier your family would be, the community would be, our nation would be. Do we have any Knives Out fans out there? Knives Out series? Anybody seen the new Knives Out Dead Man movie? Yeah. There's this scene right at the beginning that captures some of what I think Paul is getting at here. So I want you to take a look. Check this out. I think that's part of what Paul's saying here. Is you were made for this. Selfishness is natural, but it's not your designed intent. And if you're not sure you're convinced about all of this yet, I've got a question for you. How do we measure the value of a life? When you're at a funeral and somebody stands up to share things about the person that has passed, here's some things that you probably never hear. Hopefully, probably, you've never seen someone get up in a situation like that and say, you know, this guy made such an incredible contribution to our community. He slept with every woman he could. He was angry all the time. He was usually jealous. He was so selfish and envious. I'm not sure I ever saw him not drunk. We were just all so inspired by his life. Oh, that's not the story we tell, right? These are the things that we never bring up at the end because we know that they add nothing to society. They add nothing to a life. And yet every single day, I'm tempted, just as you are, to get up and try to consume all of my time and all of my energy in this attempt to be happier, to be more fulfilled, to buy into the things that people tell us will get us there. How do we measure the value of a life? We know that the value of a life is always measured by how much of it was given away. This is what we celebrate at the end. This is intuitively what we know is most valuable, that giving your life away is what makes you great. When a person finds a way to give a portion of their life away, when they live selflessly, we look at them and we say, that was a great man. That was a great woman. And you know what else we say is true about them? We say, they seemed so content. They were so happy. See, somehow they discovered the secret that pouring out is what fills you up. Happy people figure out a way to give their life away. And I don't mean twice a year on something when your work has an initiative. We're talking here about systematically giving your life away, just like you systematically consume, just like you systematically exercise, just like you systematically look in the mirror every day, or if you're my husband, like 25 times a day to make sure your hair hasn't started thinning yet. You've got to find a way to systematically give your life away. Here's another visual that I think is worth remembering. This is a picture of the Dead Sea over in Jordan. And you may or may not know that the reason that we call the Dead Sea dead is because water comes into it, but no water goes out. See, the Jordan River dumps into the Dead Sea, and it's at such a low place on the planet that all the water stays right there. And here's what's crazy. Right now, as we speak, this sea is drying up. They are pumping thousands and thousands of gallons of water into the Dead Sea to try to save it. And it's a mystery because 87 miles north of this body of water is another body of water, the Sea of Galilee. where people are water skiing and jet skiing and wakeboarding and boating and fishing, and it's this beautiful resort kind of environment on the Sea of Galilee. It's like Geist in the summertime, but probably a lot cleaner. And the Sea of Galilee, the thing about it is it has water coming in and it has water going out. It's this living, beautiful place. And that same water travels then down 87 miles to the Dead Sea, where the Dead Sea is shrinking. Now tell me, how can the Sea of Galilee that has water going in and water going out survive? And yet, just a few miles down the road, how is it that this body of water that has plenty of water flowing in and none going out is actually shrinking? My friends, if you don't figure out how to give your life away, you will end up like the Dead Sea. When it all comes in and nothing goes out, you'll find yourself becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and more frustrated and more unhappy. You'll find yourself continuing to fall for lies like, if I only looked like her, or if I only would have married like him, if I only drove one of those, if I could ever fill in the blank, I would finally be happy. But this is not how you were designed. You were designed by God to give your life away, to be about more than you. It's not intuitive, but it's true. You cannot acquire, you cannot consume, you cannot exercise your way to happiness, no matter how hard you might try. Because you were created in such a way that you will never find fulfillment until you find a way to periodically dump out some of what you have for the good of someone else. That's where we find life. And so happy is the man, happy is the woman, happy is the high school student, happy is the senior adult, happy is the single adult, happy is the married couple who understands this, who finds a way to give their life away. Now, in some ways, I feel like I'm preaching to the choir on this because so many of you get this. The Crosspoint is a place that is made up of just some of the most incredible volunteers that I have ever met. People that fuel this community every single week. People in the room right now who are doing that as we speak, or in every weekend in so many different environments, as you can see a little glimpse in here. I wish you all could have heard the way that our staff team went on and on about how amazing our teams of volunteers are this week. We had some time in our staff meeting sharing stories about it, and it was like, man, it was just so cool to see people light up and talk about how they're seeing people do this. And so here's our hope for those of you who live like this already, that today is a reminder of, oh yeah, that's why I keep doing that. Even when it's convenient, that's why I keep showing up. For those of you who give and invite and volunteer, you are making a difference. And I hope that you've already discovered, as we've been talking about today, that it makes a difference in you. I also know that there might be some of us this weekend who are thinking, I've tried that before, but it didn't stick. I ended up feeling burnout, or I just couldn't do it anymore. Or maybe you're thinking back and you're like, oh, that really was a good experience, but then life just got crazy. And I get that. I've been there. Before I came to Crosspoint, I was in a season of needing to take a break from some places that I had been investing in before. And I'm not going to lie, at first, it felt real nice to have some flexibility on the weekends, to be able to plan some last-minute trips or tune into church while I folded laundry in my pajamas. But here's the thing. Eventually, that relief that came with this new flexibility started to fade. And I found myself instead with this feeling of something missing, this itchiness of something not quite right in my life. And so when Kurt reached out and invited me to consider getting involved with CSM, I'll be honest, at first, I wasn't so sure that I was ready to commit. I didn't know if I wanted to give up my Sunday nights. And when I did decide to step in, it took some adjusting to get back in that rhythm. But once I did, once I started to kind kind of get back in that place of this regular rhythm and started to get to know the students and started to build relationships with the leaders that I got to serve alongside, I was reminded of exactly what we've been talking about. This wild reality that pouring yourself out has a way of filling you up like nothing else can. It doesn't make sense, but it really is true. So some of you today may be in a spot where you're thinking, yeah, I used to live that way. I stepped back a while ago, and I'm sure you had really great reasons for making that decision. But maybe you're sitting here today and you're thinking, yeah, I always thought that I would cycle back. I always thought that I would re-up, but it just never happened. And so perhaps now's the time. Maybe now is the time for you to re-engage this rhythm of systematically giving your life away. Or maybe you've never experienced this. Maybe you're like, I'm still not sure that I buy this, but maybe it's time to try it. To try doing something that you don't have to do, that might just end up being the best thing you can do for your own happiness and for the well-being of the people that you love. Now, of course, there are lots of ways that we can walk this out, that we can kind of take steps in response to what we've been talking about today. But one of those options are some steps that you can actually take right here, right now. And so what I want to invite you to do is to go ahead and grab this card that was in the middle of your Meekly. It says, join a world-changing team with volunteer opportunities on the top of it. And or if you're tuning in online or in the room, you can scan the QR code and access the digital version of this. And here's what we're going to do. We're just going to give you a few minutes to look this over and to think about, is there anything on here that you might just want to give a try? And here, we're not asking you to say, yes, sign me up for that forever. We're actually just inviting you to consider, would you want to try this for a trial period? Maybe just from now until Easter, for a couple of months to see how it works. And here's how you'll do this. If this is something that you are interested in checking out, you can use this volunteer team to mark all the areas that you might have some interest in. Make sure you include a name and way we can get a hold of you so that we know who you are. But then you can mark places, environments that you think you might have some interest in, or if there's just one, then go ahead and do that. And then at the bottom, you'll see there's a place where you can actually mark your availability, times that you could show up and actually do a first serve to try this out. And then what we'll do, if you turn these cards in, we'll follow up with you this week. And we'll send you all the details that you need. We'll pair you with someone that you can walk alongside and learn from. And after you do this first serve, after you show up and give it a try, we'll check in with you to see how it went. And to see if you want to be scheduled again to keep trying this out a little longer. And then at the end of March, we'll check back in with you again if you've decided to keep going. And at both of those check-in points, here's what I want you to know that we really mean. There's absolutely no pressure. Whatever you decide is okay. You might say, not for me, or, that was a good try, but can I actually try a different team instead? Or maybe you'll say, I kind of love it. I want to keep going, and in which case, we'd be thrilled to keep plugging you in there. Now, as you think about this, here's the thing that I want to make sure that you know clearly. That we're not trying to sell you some get happy quick fix. And we've been talking about over and over in this series, those things don't exist. We're also not saying, do this, show up once, and suddenly you're going to feel fulfilled. This is about what would it look like for you to take a step toward building things into your life where you are systematically giving your life away. Because if you do over time, in ways that you might not even notice at first, you're going to find that you are growing to be more and more selfless, more and more a person of love and peace and patience and all of those fruits that Paul talked about that come when we make room for God to shape us into the people that we're made to be. And so over these next few moments, as the band begins to sing, I would encourage you, take a moment to really consider what might it look like for you to make room for what God wants to do next in your life. As you look at this card in front of you, is it time for you to try something? happiness that you've been looking for, longing for, might actually be available in a place that you never expected to find it. As you take a step to pour your life out, to shake things up and try something new. I'm gonna go ahead and invite you to set these aside for now, or if you're ready to hit send on that digital one, go ahead and do that. I want you to stay in the moment with us. Go ahead and stand to your feet, and let's keep singing this together.
All my
Hey, thanks so much for watching. If you'd like to dive deeper beyond the weekend teaching, Abbie just gave us some fantastic next steps as joining a volunteer team here at Crosspoint and building a trajectory on your life that's beyond yourself. One of the things we work really hard to do here is offer a variety of ways for folks to get involved. So, as you start 2026, if you're interested in learning more and serving bigger, let us know on the digital volunteer survey and start the year by growing your life to new places by being intentional and developing a rhythm of serving others. I can tell you it's been a game changer for me. Plus, if you're looking for a way to connect with people who are heading the same spiritual direction, the best way to do that is to join a small group. Groups are small gatherings that meet every 1 to 2 weeks, digitally or in person. Small groups are a great place to discuss the weekend message, to share in community, and grow together. And the winter session just began, and so there's still time to join. So check out the groups on our page. All right, a couple quick mentions. If you'd like someone to pray with you today, we'd love to do that. Simply text the keyword NEED PRAYER to 317-834-7373, and a member of our prayer team will be in touch with you later today. For those of you who are givers around this place, man, you rock. I want to say thank you. None of this happens without your generosity through the Joy Box. And if you're not a giver and you'd like to become one, you can donate at this QR code and know that your gifts are what help fuel all the goodness that comes out of this place, including this online broadcast. Hey, thanks for joining us. We look forward to seeing you next time for the final installment of Living Happy in 2026.